Welcome, y'all. I've got some really cool buffs with Tapu Lele. For those competitively minded players that are clicking on this video because you saw the thumbnail and the title, this is not a competitive analysis of Tapu Lele. This is the discussion of changes to Tapu Lele in a very in-depth, elaborate ROM hack where every single Pokemon is much stronger. There are tons of Psychic Search Pokemon, at least 10 in this hack, that are stronger than Tapu Lele, or faster than Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is no longer the obscenely powerful thing it used to be. Not to mention, it's all balanced to in-game use anyways, so I mean, fucking Psychic Search boosted Psycho Boost is overkill half the time anyways. Not that it's bad, I mean, you can use it and, you know, you can even probably kill resist with it with like a certain item or whatever. But look, my point is that these buffs are not intended for competitive use. And another thing I want to get out of the way is that every single Pokemon is balanced to have two useful abilities that it can switch between with an infinite usability capsule. For Tapu Lele, that secondary ability was really difficult to think of because I needed an ability that was as useful as Psychic Surge that also didn't overlap with like the 9 other Psychic Fairy types in this hack. You know, Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir, Mesprit, Usharna, Meloetta, there's a bunch more that I'm blanking on, but there's like at least a few more than that. And it was like a pain in the ass to think of abilities that fit Tapu Lele that are also useful with Psychic Surge that also didn't overlap or remove Mr. Mime, you know, Energy Shield. Like there's so many good abilities that those guys take up already. So Tapu Lele, I settled on Prankster for its secondary ability. I think it fits pretty well. It's this mischievous little island guardian. If you read the Pokedex, they're all kind of assholes anyways. Like they're all, like, you know, it's kind of like based on those deities who are like, they can be helpful, but they can also just be assholes to you. So yeah, if you read the Pokedex, it talks about like it's devoid of crude, and its cruel disposition is nature incarnate, and it's worshipped and it scatters things on humans and Pokemon for its own enjoyment. While it's innocent, it's also cruel in the way that it casually brings others to ruin. So I think that fits at least the Japanese name for Prankster. I think it's like mischievous or something. Tapu Lele is pretty mischievous, and it's a useful ability over Psychic Surge. That's the main reason. Okay, it's not like the most fitting flavor-wise. I mean, if I wanted to pick something flavor-wise, it would be like Shell Armor, which is not terrible, but like, you know, like you're already dying the first impression in most cases anyways, and because you don't resist a bug anymore, your bug is now super effective on you. And like the other crit moves, I mean, it would be nice to have like Shell Armor, but Prankster is a lot more useful. So yeah, you have Prankster Screens, Prankster Parting Shot, Prankster Taunt, Prankster Moonlight, Prankster Withdraw, which gives you +1 defenses, Prankster Iron Defense, which gives you +2 defense, Prankster Calm Mind, which gives you the Calm Mind boost. Keep in mind that setup moves, not only do they have nerfed PP, but a lot of moves that will always crit will bypass right through your defensive boost. So for example, if you try to Iron Defense with your Tapu Lele or Prankster, or you try to Reflect with your Tapu Lele, first impression will come in and crit right through those boosts. Same goes for all types of other crit moves. There's a full list of those on the Google Sheet down below in the description. There are like 20 plus moves that will always crit now, and there's even more moves that will crit 50% of the time with a Scope Lens that's 100%. In general, I buffed and changed 600 plus moves, so if you are new here and this is your first impression of my channel, please do give those a look. Pun not intended, by the way, but yeah, those are in the description on the Google Sheet. It took me a lot of time to make that. But as for Tapu Lele, they all share the same stat distribution, or rather the same stat numbers. They're just distributed in different stats, so you know, they all have 135 in their highest stat, and now they have 100. They have the same stats, right? So Tapu Lele, speed tier is really mediocre, especially for this hack standard. It's not like slow or anything. You know, you can slap a Choice Scarf on and outspeed a lot of stuff for certain boss fights, but in general, it's not super fast. You do have agility for certain fights, but like I said, setup is nerfed in this hack. You're not going to be able to sweep. It'll be really hard to sweep. You can do it, but you can probably only kill at least a few Pokemon. You won't be able to 6-0 trainer teams anymore, unless you're under very specific circumstances. And when I say trainer teams, I mean boss fights. Of course, like the average Joe trainers, you could probably sweep if you want to, but I mean, I wouldn't even bother at that point. Yeah, you've got other good utility moves. Like I said, Prankster stuff is really nice. Prankster Aromatic Mist is good as well. That drops special attack and special defense by 2 stages. So that's a really good move, because keep in mind that stat drops in-game are basically permanent. The AI won't switch out unless they use Parting Shot, Volt Switch, or U-Turn, all 3 of which Tapu Lele gets. I gave all the Tapus Parting Shot. All Pokemon in this hack that like vaguely fit Parting Shot get it, just because it's a really nice defensive tool to deal with all of the hard boss fights that you're going to be coming across. And it's just a nice little utility move on a bunch of Pokemon, and I actually like the move. I think it's cool as fuck. And it fits these guys in particular because they're like kind of these asshole guardian deities, you know? So I think it fits them very well. Volt Switch, I've been given to Pokemon that learn electric type moves. U-Turn, widely distributed as well in this hack, and I think it fits Tapu Lele fine. Not that you're ever going to be clicking it, unless like you're running an Assault Vest set that you can't Volt Switch out on, like, I don't know, like you're against the ground type, and then maybe U-Turn has some use, or like, I don't know, you're fighting a fucking Malamar or something, but in most cases U-Turn is the least used of those 3 moves. In general, though, you have very, very powerful stabs, which Tapu Lele in competitive would appreciate a lot, but again, this is all balanced for in-game, so Psy Strike or something with Psychic Surge, 135 special attack is overkill. You don't need that much power. Like, you could use it in theory, especially if you're not doing a Nuzlocke, but if you're doing a Nuzlocke, like, you don't want to stay in on something that dies to that anyways, that wouldn't already die to Psychic or Psy Shock, you know? Not that they're bad moves, and the AI would definitely use those against you if there is a trainer who uses these guys, which I don't think there will be anyway. With Psy Strike, you know, 130 base power, Psycho Boost, 150 base power, and all types of crazy strong nuke moves, as well as some Flirt Cannon and Radiant Outburst and Eternal Beam, all these crazy moves late game. But it's not, like, in a Nuzlocke especially, you'd rather have I would at least rather use the more consistent drawback-free moves. Not that the drawback ones are bad, especially like the nuke ones, like Psycho Boost, Psycho Boost, Flirt Cannon, and Radiant Outburst are good because they don't deal recoil. So I would definitely use those in Nuzlocke because you just have to switch out after, which is good. And like I said, Prankster utility sets, you use that infinite usability capsule. You do have infinite UV training items as well. So for some boss fights, you can put on max HP, max defense with Prankster, and just run dual screens parting shot and switch into your teammate, or you know, Tickle, Prankster Tickle even is good. That drops attack and defense by 1. You know, it's good to do, especially for totems and stuff. You can use Parting Shot and Tickle and Aromatic Mist and stuff, and Moonlight, and heal up, and just become super stally and annoying. So that's really good for Prankster. All of the Tapus are caught up level 40 via island scan. So for the first 2 islands, that means that you can technically get them early, but like anybody who gives a shit about difficulty or like making the game play it as intended, you're not going to be, you might be catching them, but you're not going to be using the Tapus until you get level 40. By the time you get to Tapu Bulu, you'll be level 40, so you can use Tapu Bulu as soon as you catch it. The other 2 that you can use, and then Tapu Fini will be the last one on Pony Island. So, yeah. Otherwise, they'd be only obtainable post-game, by the way. That's why I did that. And I want every Pokemon to be usable in the main game for the most part. Besides, like, a few random ones like Ho-Oh and Lugia and shit, but yeah, I think I'm just going to leave the video out there. Tons of great new coverage moves, all types of powerful buffs to these moves that you can check out in the description below. I'm not going to bother wasting time getting into them all. It does have priority in the form of Influx and Pixie Dust, but those are not the best because you have Psychic Surge as your main ability. They're good on Prankster sets though, although like I don't know why you would want that. It's still a nice option though, especially once you get the Mover Learner late game. At the end of the game, you know, for post-game boss fights, you can use Mover Learner to teach some of those moves that you missed out on, because at level 40, I'll be putting specifically probably just Psy Shock, Radiant Edge, Aromatic Mist, and Moonlight. That's probably the 4 moves I would give, maybe, or maybe not even Psy Shock. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be back for more coming up. It's super bulky, by the way. The defense boost, I think, makes a lot of sense. It's like this snail-looking thing. It has that nice little shell around it, so I think boosting the defense helps. And I also just didn't want to give it more speed. I kept the base attack. You probably got the least reworked stat-wise out of the 4. Which is fine. It's just bulkier and it's slightly stronger, and then it has a great new ability. And yeah, Psychic Fairy doesn't resist bug anymore, so you gotta keep that in mind. That makes it a lot worse. Not a lot worse, but a lot less like broken. However, Psychic Surge does prevent first impression. You know, so that's really good for those 5 turns, or 8 turns if you're running Terrain Extender. So that's really good. You can also Psychic Surge for team support. You don't have to use it on Lele itself. You can team support Parting Shot or Volt Switch into your Psychic Surge abuser, who would appreciate either being immune to priority, getting a 50% boost in their psychic moves, or maybe you can use a nature power on your allies to get psychic on a Pokemon that doesn't normally learn it. You know, all types of fun strategies open up with Psychic Surge. So also overriding other surges or terrains is a big deal as well. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll be back for more Tapus coming up. Peace.